Have you ever wondered why, in a world of brilliant engineers and multi-billion-dollar tech giants, one single company seems to hold the entire future of artificial intelligence in its hands? We look at Nvidia and see a hardware titan, a maker of sleek, powerful chips that glow with the promise of the next digital revolution. But what if I told you that Nvidia as true power isn't made of silicon at all? What if their real secret sauce is an invisible layer of code that has acted like a high-voltage fence, keeping competitors out and customers locked in for over a decade? Today we are witnessing the first cracks in that fence. A silent, seismic shift is occurring behind the closed doors of Google and Meta, and it goes by the name Torch TPU. This isn't just a product launch. It is an act of digital insurrection. To understand why Torch TPU matters, we first have to understand the nature of power in the tech industry. For the last several years, the narrative has been simple. If you want to build AI, you buy Nvidia. This has led to a market cap that rivals entire nations. But Google and Meta are now collaborating on a project that targets the soft underbelly of this dominance. Torch TPU is a bridge. It is a specialized software project designed to let PyTorch, the world's most popular AI framework, run directly and efficiently on Google is Tensor Processing Units, TPUs. On the surface, this sounds like a minor technical update. In reality, it is a direct assault on Nvidia's software ecosystem. While most competitors try to build a faster chip, Google and Meta are trying to make the need for Nvidia's specific software disappear. They are changing the rules of the game from who has the best hardware to who can make the software the most accessible. How did we get here? How did one company become the industry default? To answer that, we have to look back at the creation of CUDA. Years ago, Nvidia realized that having a powerful GPU was useless if developers couldn't easily program it. So they built CUDA, a deeply integrated software platform. Over nearly 2 decades, Nvidia didn't just sell chips. They sold a lifestyle. They optimized every possible AI framework to run perfectly on CUDA. It became the invisible layer powering everything. If you were a researcher at Stanford or an engineer at a startup, you used CUDA because it worked. It was documented, and everyone else used it. This created a moat, a defensive barrier. You didn't just switch away from Nvidia because you'd be leaving behind 20 years of optimization. You'd be stepping into a wilderness where nothing is guaranteed to work. This brings us to the concept of institutional dependency. When a company like OpenAI or Microsoft builds a model, they aren't just writing code. They are weaving that code into the very fabric of Nvidia's architecture. Leaving Nvidia isn't as simple as unplugging one box and plugging in another. It involves rewriting complex kernels, retraining entire teams of highly paid engineers, and revalidating models that cost tens of millions of dollars to train in the first place. This is engineering inertia. It is the reason why, even when a competitor like AMD or Google produces a chip that might be cheaper or faster on paper, the industry stays put. The cost of moving is simply too high. Nvidia knew this. They didn't just build a better mousetrap. They built the only house the mouse knows how to live in. This is where Torch TPU enters the narrative as a revolutionary force. Its primary mission is to remove that friction. For the first time, Google is making it so that a developer can take their existing PyTorch workflow, the one they've spent years perfecting, and run it on a TPU with almost zero extra effort. Unlike earlier, half-hearted attempts to challenge Nvidia, this project is well-resourced and strategically prioritized. It acknowledges a fundamental truth. Customers aren't blocked by hardware limits. They are blocked by software barriers. By making TPUs speak PyTorch natively, Google is handing every developer a get-out-of-jail-free card. It is the first real attempt to lower the switching costs that have kept the industry in Nvidia's pocket. We've talked about software, but let's not forget the iron. Google's TPUs are formidable. They aren't just GPUs with a different name. They are custom-built specifically for the math that powers AI. They offer incredible performance, massive scalable clustering, and perhaps most importantly in today's economy, cost stability. Google has also changed its business model. While TPUs were once a cloud-only luxury, they are now being positioned as true alternatives that can be integrated more deeply into the enterprise. In a world where Nvidia chips are often backordered for months and prices are sky-high, Google is offering a reliable supply and a predictable price point. They are moving the battle from the clouds down to the data center floor. For years, there was a civil war in the AI world. Inside the walls of Google, The brilliant minds used JAX and XLA frameworks perfectly tuned for TPUs. But the rest of the world, the developers, the students, the hobbyists, standardized on PyTorch. This created a massive gap. If you wanted to use a TPU, you basically had to learn a new language. Most people chose not to. They stayed with what they knew. PyTorch on Nvidia. Torch TPU finally bridges this divide. It admits that PyTorch won the framework war, and instead of fighting that reality, Google is embracing it. By making TPUs the best place to run PyTorch, they are finally opening the doors of their high-tech playground to the entire world. If Google is the architect, Meta is the kingmaker. Meta created PyTorch, and they remain its primary steward. Why would Mark Zuckerberg want to help Google? Because Meta is one of Nvidia's biggest customers. And no one likes being at the mercy of a single supplier's pricing. Meta's involvement gives Torch TPU instant legitimacy. It sends a message to every engineer. This is the future. It makes PyTorch hardware portable. This is a nightmare scenario for Nvidia because they cannot control PyTorch. If Meta and Google decide that PyTorch should run just as well on a TPU as it does on an H100, there's very little Nvidia can do to stop it. The alliance between these two giants represents a unified front against a common monopoly. The open-source Trojan horse, one of the most brilliant moves in this strategy is the potential for open sourcing. By considering making Torch TPU open source, Google is building trust. They aren't trying to sell you a subscription to a proprietary software layer. They are trying to build an ecosystem. Every time a developer moves a workload to a TPU, Nvidia's grip weakens. Google doesn't need to make money on the software. They make money when people realize they can get world-class AI performance without paying the Nvidia tax. Open sourcing ensures that the community will help improve the code, find the bugs, and expand the capabilities, creating a momentum that no single company can maintain on its own. We are living in a time of AI scrutiny. The initial gold rush phase where companies threw money at anything with an AI label is ending. Investors are now asking about ROI, return on investment. Capital costs are rising, and the bill for Nvidia hardware is becoming a massive line item on every CFO's balance sheet. This economic reality makes the Torch TPU project perfectly timed. Organizations are desperate for cheaper, scalable compute options. When the choice is between waiting 6 months for an expensive Nvidia cluster or moving your existing PyTorch code to a readily available, cost-effective TPU today, the decision becomes much easier. Google isn't just offering a technical alternative. They are offering an economic escape hatch. Let's be clear, Torch TPU won't kill Nvidia tomorrow. Nvidia is an incredible company with a massive lead. But what Torch TPU does is turn Nvidia 1.0 into a contested front. The dynamic is shifting from near-monopoly reliance to multi-platform strategy. For the first time in a decade, customers have real negotiating leverage. They can say to Nvidia, if you raise prices again, we'll just move our PyTorch workloads to TPUs. Optionality is the ultimate power in business. And Torch TPU is providing that to the entire AI industry. Success is not guaranteed. As powerful as this alliance is, Torch TPU needs time to mature. We are looking at a 12 to 18-month window before we see true performance parity and the kind of rock-solid reliability that big banks and healthcare providers require. There will be bugs. There will be edge cases where CUDA still performs better. Success depends on whether Google and Meta can maintain their focus and whether the developer community actually embraces the change. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and Nvidia will not be sitting idly by. Nvidia now finds itself in a position it hasn't occupied in years. It has to compete on merit rather than just momentum. They can't block PyTorch from evolving, and they can't stop Google from building better chips. Their only defense is to innovate faster than the rest of the world can catch up. They have to make CUDA so much better that people are willing to pay the premium and deal with the lock-in. This is a fundamental shift. Nvidia is no longer defending an unassailable fortress. They are fighting a war of maneuver. Wall Street has been focused on chip counts and quarterly earnings. They see Nvidia's massive profits and assume the lid is permanent. But the real threat isn't to Nvidia as hardware lead it. As to the software lock-in that justified its astronomical valuation. The defining question for the next 2 years is simple. Can Google and Meta truly erode that dependency? If they can, the Nvidia premium might start to evaporate. If the software becomes hardware agnostic, then hardware becomes a commodity. And in a commodity market, margins shrink and giants can fall. What can we learn from this high-stakes battle between tech titans? Don't mistake a tool for a destination. Just as developers got locked into CUDA, we often get locked into specific ways of doing things in our lives. Always look for the software that is running your habits. Is it helping you, or is it just a moat preventing you from trying something better? The power of collaboration. Even the biggest giants, Google and Meta, realize they can't win alone. If you're facing a massive challenge, look for allies who share your pain points. Optionality is freedom, in your career and your finances. Avoid single points of failure. The more platforms you can run on, the more leverage you have in any negotiation. Watch the invisible layers. In any industry, the most powerful forces are often the ones you can't see, the systems, the protocols, and the habits. Pay attention to the software of your industry, not just the hardware of the products. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Nvidia's lead is too deep to be disrupted? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end for their monopoly? Have you ever felt locked in to a piece of technology or a brand, even when you knew there were better options out there? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. If you found this deep dive valuable, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and share this story with someone who needs to understand where the future of technology is actually headed. Your support allows us to keep digging deeper into the stories that shape our world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.